What's up, guys? Michael Bancroft back here again with another question and answer video. This time I got one sent in by none other than Lord Crackhead himself, and he asked me, when it comes to these big cinematic double page spreads, are those something you work on during the writing process, or do they develop naturally as you're drawing? To answer that, you have to go, well, I have to go all the way back to essentially how I make my comic, how I craft the story and eventually turn that into a comic. So I thought this is a great opportunity to actually show off my process. And my process might be a little bit different because I am the artist and writer. I know because I'm working right now with Rod Looper, phenomenal artist, on a upcoming book for the future called The Lucent Fractured Mind. I've had to change how I do my process, and I've had to write proper scripts with references for him to sort of know what I'm doing, and everything's all blocked out. I don't normally do that, but I thought I'd show you guys how I make at least my main book for the Lucent. So to start off, we start off with something like this, which is just a very quick synopsis. I've got this is all written for the entire Lucent series, all the books broken down, and it's just a synopsis, like you might see a plot point thing on Wikipedia or something like that. If I have to get into, say, how someone is feeling, because that's really important to the plot, I'll write that in there as well. But they're just pretty quick outline of what's happening in the book and what's happening in the series, and this way I get to make sure that if I need to put something in that's going to relate to something that happens in a later book, I can keep track of it here. So now that I've got this, I know what scenes I need to write and what dialogue needs to happen. And to do that, I actually, usually I'll take a walk or something. I'll go out by myself and I'll just play over the scene in my head and watch it unfurl with the characters and everything, and sort of get a handle on what might be said and all that sort of stuff. That might take an hour or so. Walk around, get that ingrained into my skull, and then I rush home and I just sort of write down what I saw and heard in that scene, like I'm transcribing a movie that I saw inside my mind. And that's usually, again, pretty quick. I just start writing down dialogue. I'm not trying to format a script properly or anything. I'm just getting it down as I remember it. Any kind of notes I'll put in brackets, but just this is the dialogue phase, and then that's that. This I put away. I write it. Usually it's very quick. It'll take me 10-15 minutes to just write the whole scene out. I save it. I put it away. I like to at least put it away for about 3 months and not look at it again. That way, when I go back, I will have sort of forgotten most of what I wrote. I'll know what happens in the scene, but I'll have forgotten what exactly was said. And then that's how I'm able to sort of look at it from outside my writer's perspective and really kind of read it as a reader and see if it makes sense. And when I do that, I find that that's the best way to sort of know if I'm on the right track. Usually all it'll need is a bit of heavy editing. Things get cut out here and there, or maybe something was said, but occasionally just the scene isn't working and I have to kind of go back and start from scratch. But most of the time, once this is sorted, I then take it to the page. This is how I work. I actually start laying it out on a page, and the reason I do this is I'm sort of thinking, okay, how might this is when you translate it from a script into a comic. How might it actually work on the page? What art might I want to do? How many panels do I think I'll need? And this is a key part for me because it deals with the pacing of the book, the flow, the page turning. I always want an event to take place on the final panel on the double page spread that'll make the reader really feel compelled to have to turn the page and continue the story. I'm always cognizant of that, and there has to be a good flow. There has to be, each one of these double page spreads is sort of like a mini arc carrying the story forward. So it's in this phase that I sort of figure all that out. In here you can see I've got dialogue in black, and I've got sort of notes of what's happening on the panel in red. But of course, this is all very much open to change. This could completely change depending on how the drawing goes, and that's the sort of the next phase that we get to here, is where, okay, I've actually started to sketch out what's happening in the panels. And, and this is where the panels move and change around and shift and get bigger and smaller. And, I wanted this to be bigger. This is sort of when that happens. And once that's all how I think it should go, I also take an extra step here and drop in a sort of fake, very quick kind of dialogue. And just make sure that there's room for everything and it all flows nicely. So this is just very sort of basic. Just now it's starting to look a bit more like a comic and start to feel like a comic. And I actually put these all into InDesign, which is the desktop publishing program that I use to lay out my comics. And so I can read it as a comic and really get a sense of how the book is flowing. Now you might be wondering, how does any of this relate to what Jeremy asked with the cinematic double page spreads? Well, that brings you to the question of, how do I get to a page like this? This is a double page spread from my upcoming comic, Painted Death. It's the second part in the Lucent series. And you see this really big, it's the mother of all establishing shots. In the script as I had it, it just said Paris, establishing shot of Paris. I didn't know when I was writing it how exactly that would work. But what ended up happening is I always like each scene to end, on the double page spread. So, if you go to a new scene, you're turning the page. Now, it turned out that when I plotted out the scene that, this scene, it ended up with an extra page. So instead of 6 pages, I had 7, for example. So I need to fill in an extra page. And I thought, well, in this case, what a fantastic opportunity to a massive full page shot that's just, really knocks people's socks off and is, just a really big, great splash page. That's how this one came about. And but it's very much in the same regard as I could do something like this, which was from Waking Dream. The scene from before ended. Now we turn the page with a new one, and you can go double page spread. So that's really how they come about. I know that if I want to introduce something, say for instance in the last example in Paris, I want to introduce a few things. I want to introduce Paris as a location. I want to introduce this, this massive monument of the Eiffel Tower. It relates symbolically to what's happening in the story. But if I really want to make these big, impactful splash pages or double page spreads, and they work with how the pages have been plotted out, of course I'll put them in there, because these are things you can really sell your comic with. These are things that people remember in the story, and they're fun to make, and they are a challenge, let me tell you that. Just going back to round out the video though, everything that we do leads to this, a final page, a final spread, and with lettering on it, all the art's done. And I just wanted it known that the writing never stops until you send that thing to print. I'm always editing, moving things around. Can I lose a word here or there? Can I tighten things up? Right until the very end, even at this stage. And that's how I think you get the best possible product out to the readers. And that's pretty much how I do it. I hope that was an interesting video for anyone out there who cares about how these things are made, or who are looking to make their own. And hey, if you like what you've seen on this video, this art, this comic book, sign up to the Lucent Painted Death. I'm working so hard on it right now. It is shaping up to be an incredible book. I know you guys are going to love it. So please do sign up for the mailing list. There's things to win. There's probably going to be exclusive discounts or tiers, secret perks. I don't know. We'll all figure it out soon enough. Oh, and there's also Waking Dream, my first book in the series that is still available to purchase. You can get that through cgnow.net. Otherwise, like the video, subscribe, all that great stuff. I'll see you next time. That's it from me. Bye.